Good evening, loves. Welcome back to the Be Yourself Unapologetically podcast. Tonight I want to talk about something that's real and it can be uncomfortable, but it's something that you really need to know, especially if you have kids that play games like Roblox, TikTok, stream on Discord, join communities. So the title is The Real Side of Roblox, TikTok and Discord, and what our kids are really exposed to. So welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to talk about something that's too important to ignore. On the surface, our kids are gaming, chatting and having fun on Roblox, TikTok and Discord. Behind the scenes, some children and teens are being exposed to predators, racism, pornography, self-harm content and even radicalisation, while the adults in their lives think they're just building cute blocky worlds or watching dances. This episode isn't about scaring parents for the sake of it. It's about telling the truth, grounding it in what we know from real cases and research, and then talking about what we can actually do to protect children's mental health long term. So, deep breath. So let's shine a light into the dark corners of Roblox, TikTok and Discord. So you might think, my kid is just gaming, right? So let's start with a story many parents tell themselves. They're in their room, they're laughing with friends, they're on Roblox or TikTok or Discord, but at least they're at home, safe, and I can hear them. I know where they are. Physically, yes, they're safe in their bedroom. Digitally, they might be in the nightclub, a casino, a porn cinema, a racist rally, or a private chat with a 40-year-old pretending to be 12. In the UK, Ofcom's latest research shows that almost all children aged 3 to 17, about 96%, went online in 2024. A growing chunk of them are using social media and gaming platforms long before the official age limits. Some reports suggest that around 40% of under 13s have a social media profile, despite platforms like TikTok saying you must be 13 or over. Parents do monitor to some extent, especially with younger children, but the reality is this. By the time kids hit upper primary and secondary school, a lot of their online life happens when adults are distracted, asleep, or simply not tech savvy enough to know what's really going on. And that's the gap predators, racists, and extremists live in. The gap between what parents think is happening and what actually is happening. Today we're going to walk through 3 platforms, Roblox, TikTok and Discord, and talk about how each one can open doors to danger if we don't take it seriously. Roblox, not just a kid's game. Let's start with Roblox, because many adults still think of it as the Lego of gaming. Creative, bright, child-friendly. Roblox is huge. It's one of the biggest online playgrounds for children in the world, with millions of user-generated games and chat features built into almost everything. During and after the pandemic, it became a social lifeline for a lot of kids. But behind the colourful avatars, there is a serious safety problem. Children's rights charity, 5 Rights, highlighted research describing Roblox as a paedophile hellscape for kids, raising alarms about sexual exploitation and grooming taking place in its games and chat. Investigations and lawsuits internationally are piling up. Data reported in recent coverage suggests that self-reported child exploitation incidents linked to Roblox have exploded in recent years, with tens of thousands of cases being flagged as potential sexual exploitation or grooming. These are real children behind those numbers. One case reported in 2025 involved a 10-year-old who was groomed on Roblox, offered virtual currency in exchange for explicit images, and then threatened when she tried to pull away. Others have been lured into cults or horror-themed communities where the line between roleplay and real abuse gets deliberately blurred. So what's actually happening on this platform? Predators use cute games as bait. They hang out in popular hangout worlds, clubs, and roleplay games where kids are relaxed and off guard. Chat is the doorway. The game might be about pets or fashion shows, but the real danger is the chats, the DMs, the group chats, the invitations to private servers. Grooming often moves off Roblox. Many grooming cases start inside Roblox and then shift to Discord, Snapchat, or other apps where there is even less oversight. Roblox does have moderation, AI tools, and safety teams. Recently, they launched an AI system called Sentinel to detect predatory behaviours across billions of chat messages, and say they've already sent many reports to child protection authorities. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If a platform is built around kids interacting with strangers in real time, through text and voice, predators will follow. The safety tools are racing to catch up with a problem that is baked into the design. From a child's point of view, Roblox is just a game. From a predator's point of view, it's a busy playground with almost no grown-ups watching closely. So TikTok, the forever scroll and the fragile brain. So now let's talk about TikTok. TikTok looks harmless, dances, jokes, day in the life, videos, cute pets, study tips, but those 15-second clips aren't random. They're being selected by one of the most powerful recommendation engines on the planet. Research and investigations have found TikTok's For You page can quickly push young users towards self-harm and eating disorder content once they show even a small interest. Internal documents and separate investigations suggest TikTok has used highly addictive design tactics, targeting children while being fully aware of the potential harms, especially around mental health. Studies of TikTok use in the adolescents show that addictive or problematic users have higher levels of depression, anxiety, stress, and loneliness than non-users or moderate users. So what does this look like in a real teenager's life? Imagine a 13-year-old who searches one video about dieting or one video about feeling low. Within minutes, the algorithm may start serving them extreme weight loss content, bodies that are filtered and edited, self-harm confessions, aesthetic depictions of depression, trauma, and suicide. This doesn't happen to everyone, but for some kids, TikTok becomes a personalised tunnel of despair. TikTok can also be a massive platform for bullying and pile-ons, racist slurs and jokes that normalise hate, conspiracy theories, and extremist talking points packaged as memes. Misogynistic content framed as self-improvement for boys. And at the same time, there are positive corners of TikTok. Mental health education, neurodivergent creators, body positive content, study tips, activism and support communities. Some people say they learned about mental health and coping strategies from TikTok during the pandemic and felt less alone. So TikTok is not just good or bad. It's a huge river of content. And the algorithm decides which brand your child is swept into based on tiny actions. A like, a pause, a save, a comment. For a developing brain, that constant drip of comparison, outrage, fear and shock content is not neutral. Over time, it can distort body image, increase anxiety and social comparison, disrupt sleep, normalise self-harm, unhealthy relationships and hate. Make it harder to focus on anything that isn't fast, loud and emotionally intense. That's the long-term mental health story we don't see in a single video, but we feel in the child who is slowly becoming more withdrawn, more anxious, more angry, or more numb. So Discord, where communities move when no one's watching. So, now to Discord. If you've ever used it, Discord is like a mashup of WhatsApp, group forums and voice chat. It started out as a platform for gamers to talk while playing, but now it hosts every kind of community, from homework help and music to politics, adult content and extremist spaces. Here's why Discord is such a big part of the real side of Roblox and TikTok. Predators often meet young people on platforms like Roblox or TikTok, then move them into private Discord servers or DMs where there's less visibility. Discord allows text, images, voice, video, and file sharing. A child can be groomed, manipulated, or abused without their parents seeing a single notification, especially if Discord is installed on a secondary device. Some extremist networks and hate groups use gaming platforms and Discord as recruitment and training spaces, blending memes, dark humour, and propaganda. Recent reporting has highlighted new online extremist networks where teenagers are drawn into communities that blend cruelty, sexualized violence, racism, and ideologies that glorify harm. These networks operate across multiple platforms and are often discovered only after real-world harm has happened. Discord has policies against violent extremism and hate, and they do take down servers and accounts. But again, enforcement is playing catch-up with a problem that thrives on being fast, anonymous, and constantly rebranding. For many teens, Discord is the place where the mask comes off. They say things there they would never say in front of adults. That can be healthy in a safe friendship group, or it can be the perfect environment for racist and sexist banter that slowly hardens into belief. Sharing illegal or extreme content, being pressured into sending sexual images, being encouraged to self-harm or hurt others, all far away from any adult's eye. So, unmonitored exposure and the mental health time bomb. Let's talk about unmonitored exposure. The truth is, Most parents can't and won't supervise every second of online life, and even if they have good control set up at home, kids are often exposed through friends' phones, sleepovers, school devices, public Wi-Fi. Recent UK coverage of Ofcom research reported that many children, even in primary school, have seen violent material online, from street fights to extreme graphic violence, and some have accidentally or intentionally viewed pornography or been shut down or been shown it by peers. So what happens to a child who is repeatedly exposed to porn they don't understand, racist and misogynistic jokes, self-harm and suicide content, conspiracy theories and extremist ideas, sexual messages from adults disguised as friends? Not all children are affected in the same way, but long-term research and clinical experience suggest increased risks of anxiety and depression, intrusive thoughts and nightmares, trauma responses from seeing extreme sexual or violent content, distorted beliefs about relationships, sex, gender, and consent, normalization of racism, homophobia, transphobia, and misogyny, desensitization to cruelty and suffering, obsessive compulsive scrolling and gaming patterns that look very close to addiction. Studies of heavy social media use, including problematic TikTok use, repeatedly link high usage and addictive patterns to worse mental well-being. And we've barely scratched the surface of sleep. Bright screens and rapid-fire content until late at night disrupt the body clock, which in turn worsens mood, concentration and behaviour the next day. Chronic sleep disruption in adolescence is linked to higher rates of depression and poorer academic outcomes. So when we see a teen who is burnt out, obsessed with their phone, angry if you try to limit access, struggling with mood, identity or body image, we can't separate that from the online environment they're growing up in. So I hear some of you say, but aren't parents monitoring this? So here's the awkward question. If all this is going on, where are the adults? Ofcom's data suggests most parents do worry about online harms. Many use some form of monitoring or parental controls, especially for younger kids. But there are key gaps. Some parents don't know how to configure parental controls on games, phones, routers or platforms. Others assume school filters and platform safeguards are enough. Teens are often trusted or expected to self-regulate because they're good kids, even though good kids can be groomed, radicalised or harmed. Children learn from TikTok and YouTube how to bypass filters, use VPNs or secret browsers. And importantly, legislation, like the UK's Online Safety Act, now requires big platforms to have stronger protections for children, including duties to protect them from harmful content and illegal material. That's an essential step, but laws and algorithms are not a force field. There is no single app that replaces a relationship with a child. So how grooming, racism and radicalisation actually creep in? I want to walk through how this often actually looks in a child or teen's life, because it's rarely as obvious as we imagine. So grooming often starts with a friendly older kid in a Roblox game, a funny TikTok creator who replies to DMs, someone on Discord who really gets them, At first it's, excuse me, you're so mature for your age. I understand you more than your parents do. You can tell me anything. Then slowly, conversations move to more private spaces. Talk turns sexual or overly intimate. The child is asked for photos just for me. Shame, threats, or rewards like Robux are used to keep them quiet. From the outside, it might look like my kid is just obsessed with that game or app, while inside they're tangled up in a manipulative relationship they don't know how to leave. So, where does racism and hate come in? So, racism, homophobia, and misogyny rarely appear at first as a big neon sign saying extremist content. Instead, they creep in as edgy memes, dark humour, prank videos, ironic slurs, or just banter. On Roblox, these can be embedded into game themes, roleplay scenarios, or user-made maps. On TikTok, it's skits, anti-woke rants, or creators mocking certain groups on Discord. It's in-jokes, shared images, slurs used casually in a voice chat. Over time, it shifts the child's sense of what is normal or funny and may push them towards creators or communities that are more extreme. Radicalisation. Gaming and chat platforms have been flagged in research and security reports as spaces where extremists sometimes recruit or spread propaganda. This doesn't mean every Roblox or Discord server is some secret extremist cell. It means young people who feel lonely, angry, or misunderstood, who spend hours in online communities, who are used to edgy humour and us vs them talk, are vulnerable to being drawn into groups that gradually shift from jokes and memes to more explicit hatred, conspiracy, and sometimes talk of violence. Radicalisation is often slow, social, and subtle. It might look like a teen getting really into politics or spending all their time with online mates, but under the surface, their worldview is being reshaped. So now we know all this. What do we do about it? If you're listening to this as a parent, carer, teacher, or even as a young person yourself, you might be thinking, so what now? Do we just delete everything and move to a cave? No. The answer isn't panic. It's informed, engaged parenting plus stronger systems. Here are practical pillars you can build around a child or teen. Digital curiosity, not digital denial. Instead of get off that stupid game, try show me your favourite game on Roblox. Which worlds do you go into? What's your For You page like on TikTok today? Scroll and show me the kind of stuff it's feeding you. Who are you chatting with on Discord? What do you talk about in those servers? You're not spying, you're entering their world with curiosity that keeps the door open so that if something weird or scary happens, they're more likely to tell you. Have clear family rules for online life. Agree together on things like no gaming or TikTok after a certain time at night. Devices charging outside bedrooms if possible. No private chats with strangers without a trusted adult knowing who they are. No moving from one platform to another, e.g. Roblox to Discord or Snapchat with someone you've only just met online. Share any messages that feel creepy, sexual, racist, or threatening. Write the rules down. Make them about safety and mental health, not punishment. Use the tech tools, but don't rely on them. Turn on age restrictions and parental controls where you can. Use platform tools to block and report abusive users and harmful content. Lock down privacy settings so only friends can message or invite. But remember, controls can be bypassed. Kids can use friends' devices. Some parental control apps themselves have privacy and safety problems, especially if they're sideloaded from outside official app stores. Tech is a safety net, it's not a safety wall. So talk openly about predators, porn, racism and radicalisation. If we don't talk about it, TikTok, Roblox and Discord will. Age appropriately name things. There are adults who pretend to be kids in games to trick young people into sending photos or doing things they don't want to do. You might see porn or sexual videos before you're ready. It doesn't show real relationships, real bodies, or real consent. Some people online try to turn jokes into real hate against certain groups of people. If you start seeing that, talk to me. If anyone encourages you to hurt yourself or others or to keep secrets from all adults, that's a huge red flag. You are not putting ideas into their head. You are giving them language and red flags before they stumble into harm. Notice changes in mood and behaviour. Sometimes the first sign of online harm is not what they say about the internet, it's how they're living offline. Are they becoming withdrawn or unusually anxious? Are they more secretive about screens? Are they waking in the night, having nightmares or struggling to sleep? Has their attitudes towards other people suddenly become more hateful or cynical? Do they panic at the thought of losing access to a game or app? These are all reasons to gently check whether what they're seeing or who they're talking to online is healthy. Get early help. If you discover your child has been groomed, sent harmful content, drawn into racist or extremist spaces, distressed by what they've seen, reach out for support. Depending on where you are, that might include your GP, your school safeguarding leads, local mental health services, helplines such as child protection charities or crisis lines. In the case of grooming or sexual exploitation, the police. You are not overreacting. Online abuse is real abuse. Online radicalisation is real radicalisation. And early intervention can soften the long-term mental health impact. So where does this leave us? Roblox is not just a game. TikTok is not just dances. Discord is not just where the gamers hang out. They are powerful ecosystems shaped by algorithms, business models and human behaviour, where children and teens are developing their identities, beliefs and friendships in real time. The majority of kids using these platforms will not be groomed, radicalised or traumatised. Many will have fun, learn skills, find like-minded friends and feel less alone. But a significant number are exposed to predators, racism, misogyny, self-harm content and extremist ideas long before their brains are ready to process any of it. That exposure doesn't vanish. When the app is closed, it settles into their mental health, their body image, their worldview. As adults, we have 3 big responsibilities. Know what's really happening online, not just what the marketing says. Stay in relationships with our kids, so they trust us enough to show us the dark corners. Push for safer design and stronger regulation, so that the burden doesn't sit entirely on families who are already stretched. If this episode has stirred up worry, let that worry become action. Ask questions, learn the platforms, have the awkward conversations, and if needed, reach out for help. Our children deserve online spaces that protect their curiosity instead of exploiting it. Thank you for listening. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with another parent, carer, or teacher. The more adults understand the real side of Roblox, TikTok, and Discord, the safer our kids will be.